Let's get ready for the New Mexico real estate exam with 100 questions covering key state laws, principles, and practices you'll need to know. And keep an eye on the bottom corner. There's something there that could make a big difference in your prep. We'll tell you how to use it in just a minute. Now, let's get started.
Let's begin with a quick review of licensing requirements. New Mexico licensing requirements and procedures. What is the minimum age requirement to apply for a real estate salesperson license in New Mexico? Is it A, 16 years old, B, 18 years old, C, 21 years old, or D, 25 years old? The answer is B, 18 years old. In New Mexico, applicants must be at least 18 years old to qualify for a real estate salesperson license. This requirement ensures that applicants have reached the age of majority. How many hours of pre-licensing education are required for a real estate salesperson in New Mexico? Is it A, 60 hours, B, 75 hours, C, 90 hours, or D, 120 hours? The answer is C, 90 hours. New Mexico mandates 90 hours of pre-licensing education for aspiring real estate salespersons. This education covers essential real estate principles and practices.
Have you noticed the code in the bottom corner? Next time you're stumped, take that code to birdsy.ai for immediate help and a free study session with Birdsy, your personal AI study partner. Plus, you'll get access to hundreds of additional questions, helping you move closer to passing your exam with confidence. The next time you're feeling unsure or stuck, give it a try.
Which of the following is a requirement for obtaining a broker's license in New Mexico? Is it A, completion of 180 hours of approved education, B, completion of 90 hours of approved education, C, completion of 150 hours of approved education, or D, completion of 210 hours of approved education? The answer is A, completion of 180 hours of approved education. To obtain a broker's license in New Mexico, applicants must have completed 180 hours of approved education, including a 30-hour broker basics course. What is one of the requirements for a real estate salesperson to upgrade to an associate broker's license in New Mexico? Is it A, complete 30 hours of continuing education, B, pass the national portion of the licensing exam again, C, complete 90 hours of broker-specific courses, or D, submit a new background check? The answer is C, complete 90 hours of broker-specific courses. In New Mexico, to upgrade from a salesperson to an associate broker's license, one must complete additional education, specifically 90 hours of broker-specific courses, and meet experience requirements. Continuing education requirements. What is the minimum number of continuing education hours required every 3 years for a real estate licensee in New Mexico? Is it A, 24 hours, B, 30 hours, C, 36 hours, or D, 40 hours? The answer is C, 36 hours. In New Mexico, real estate licensees must complete 36 hours of continuing education every 3 years. This ensures that licensees stay updated with industry practices, laws, and regulations. Which of the following is a mandatory course topic for continuing education in New Mexico? Is it A, marketing strategies, B, core course on legal updates, C, advanced negotiation techniques, or D, property management basics? The answer is B, core course on legal updates. The New Mexico Real Estate Commission mandates that licensees complete a core course covering legal updates and regulatory changes as part of their continuing education. How often must New Mexico real estate licensees renew their license? Is it A, every 3 years, B, annually, C, every 5 years, or D, every 6 months? The answer is A, every 3 years. New Mexico real estate licenses must be renewed every 3 years. Licensees are required to complete continuing education requirements to maintain their license in good standing. Which of the following statements about elective continuing education courses in New Mexico is true? Is it A, elective courses are not required? B, elective courses must cover legal topics? C, elective courses must be completed online? Or D, elective courses can cover a variety of topics? The answer is D. Elective courses can cover a variety of topics. Elective courses allow licensees to choose topics that enhance their professional skills and knowledge. They must complement the mandatory core courses for a well-rounded education. Let's continue with New Mexico real estate laws and regulations. New Mexico-specific fair housing laws. Which protected class is specifically recognized under New Mexico's fair housing laws in addition to the Federal Fair Housing Act? Is it A, race, B, religion, C, sexual orientation, or D, national origin? The answer is C, sexual orientation. New Mexico's fair housing laws include sexual orientation as a protected class, which is not explicitly covered under federal law. This reflects the state's commitment to preventing discrimination based on sexual orientation in housing. Under New Mexico fair housing laws, what is a landlord prohibited from doing when selecting tenants? Is it A, charging a security deposit, B, refusing to rent to families with children, C, conducting credit checks, or D, setting rental rates? The answer is B, refusing to rent to families with children. Landlords in New Mexico cannot refuse to rent to potential tenants based on their familial status, which includes the presence of children under 18, reflecting the state's adherence to fair housing principles. How does New Mexico's fair housing law address discrimination based on ancestry? Is it A, ancestry is a protected class, B, ancestry is not addressed, C, ancestry is only protected under federal law, or D, ancestry protection applies only to renters? The answer is A, ancestry is a protected class. New Mexico's fair housing law explicitly includes ancestry as a protected class, ensuring individuals are not discriminated against based on their ethnic or cultural heritage. What is a unique feature of New Mexico's fair housing law regarding discrimination in housing transactions? Is it A, prohibiting all background checks, B, mandating rent control, C, requiring equal amenities, or D, prohibiting discrimination based on gender identity? The answer is D, prohibiting discrimination based on gender identity. New Mexico's fair housing law prohibits discrimination based on gender identity, which extends protections beyond those provided by federal law, demonstrating the state's commitment to inclusivity. In New Mexico, which of the following actions would be considered discriminatory under fair housing laws? Is it A, offering varying lease terms, B, refusing to negotiate with a buyer due to disability, C, charging late fees, or D, requiring a credit check? The answer is B, refusing to negotiate with a buyer due to disability. Refusing to negotiate with a potential buyer based on their disability is discriminatory under New Mexico fair housing laws, which protect individuals with disabilities from housing discrimination. What additional protection does New Mexico's fair housing laws offer that is not covered by federal law? Is it A, age, B, gender identity, C, ancestry, or D, marital status? The answer is C, ancestry. New Mexico fair housing laws provide additional protection against discrimination based on ancestry, which is not explicitly covered under the Federal Fair Housing Act. This ensures a broader scope of protection for residents. How does New Mexico address housing discrimination based on familial status? Is it A, allows all forms of discrimination. B. Prohibits discrimination except in senior housing. C. Only protects single parents. Or D. Offers no protection. The answer is B. Prohibits discrimination except in senior housing. New Mexico law prohibits discrimination against families with children under 18, except in certain designated housing for older persons, aligning with federal guidelines, but with state-specific enforcement measures. New Mexico-specific contract requirements. What is the minimum amount of earnest money required in a New Mexico real estate contract? Is it A, $500, B, no specific minimum, C, $1,000, or D, 1% of purchase price? The answer is B, no specific minimum. New Mexico real estate law does not mandate a specific minimum amount for earnest money. It is typically negotiated between the buyer and seller and should reflect a serious intent to purchase. In New Mexico, what is required for a real estate contract to be enforceable? Is it A, it must be in writing and signed by both parties? B, it must be notarized? C, it must be approved by a real estate attorney? Or D, it must include a witness signature? The answer is A, it must be in writing and signed by both parties. For a real estate contract to be enforceable in New Mexico, it must be in writing, include essential terms, and be signed by both parties involved. Which of the following is a mandatory disclosure in New Mexico real estate transactions? Is it A, the seller's reason for selling? B, the neighborhood crime rate? C, material defects in the property? Or D, the seller's financial status? The answer is C, material defects in the property. Sellers in New Mexico must disclose any known material defects in the property. This includes structural issues, environmental hazards, or other significant problems affecting the property's value. What is the purpose of the due diligence period in New Mexico real estate contracts? Is it A, to finalize financing arrangements? B, to negotiate closing costs? C, to acquire homeowners insurance? Or D, to inspect the property and review all conditions? The answer is D, to inspect the property and review all conditions. The due diligence period allows the buyer to inspect the property, review documents, and ensure all conditions are satisfactory before finalizing the purchase. It is a critical phase for buyer protection. When must a seller provide the property disclosure statement in New Mexico? Is it A, before the purchase agreement is signed? B, at the closing? C, after the earnest money is deposited? Or D, within 30 days of listing the property? The answer is A, before the purchase agreement is signed. In New Mexico, the property disclosure statement should be provided to the buyer before the purchase agreement is signed, allowing the buyer to make an informed decision. Which party is responsible for ensuring the accuracy of the legal description in a New Mexico real estate contract? Is it A, the buyer? B, the real estate agent? C, the seller? Or D, the closing attorney? The answer is C, the seller. In New Mexico, the seller is typically responsible for providing an accurate legal description of the property. This ensures that the buyer knows exactly what is being purchased. What is the function of the financing contingency clause in a New Mexico real estate contract? Is it A, to protect the buyer if they cannot obtain a loan? B, to guarantee the seller receives payment? C, to set the interest rate for the loan? Or D, to determine the down payment amount? The answer is A, to protect the buyer if they cannot obtain a loan. The financing contingency allows the buyer to back out of a contract if they are unable to secure financing. This protects the buyer from being obligated to purchase without necessary funds.
If you're finding this helpful, please take a minute to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more practice exams, useful tips, and complimentary study sessions with Birdsy.
Overview of New Mexico real estate statutes. What is the primary purpose of the New Mexico Real Estate Commission? Is it A, to set property tax rates, B, to provide real estate education, C, to enforce real estate laws and regulations, or D, to conduct real estate transactions? The answer is C, to enforce real estate laws and regulations. The New Mexico Real Estate Commission is responsible for enforcing real estate laws and regulations to protect the public interest and ensure ethical practices among real estate professionals. Which type of license is required to manage property in New Mexico? Is it A, real estate sales license, B, real estate broker's license, C, property management certificate, or D, business license? The answer is B, real estate broker's license. In New Mexico, a property manager must hold a real estate broker's license to legally manage properties, ensuring they meet the state's professional standards and regulations. How often must New Mexico real estate licenses be renewed? Is it A, every 3 years, B, annually, C, every 5 years, or D, every 2 years? The answer is A, every 3 years. New Mexico real estate licenses must be renewed every 3 years, ensuring that licensees remain compliant with current laws and continue their professional education. What is the legal consequence of practicing real estate without a license in New Mexico? Is it A, no consequence if unnoticed, B, a warning letter, C, temporary suspension, or D, fines and legal action? The answer is D, fines and legal action. Practicing real estate without a license in New Mexico is illegal and can result in fines, legal action, and other penalties to deter unauthorized practice. Now let's review New Mexico property ownership and land use. Types of property ownership, e.g. fee simple, leasehold, joint tenancy. Which type of property ownership in New Mexico allows an individual to have absolute ownership with the freedom to sell or bequeath the property? Is it A, fee simple, B, leasehold, C, joint tenancy, or D, tenancy in common? The answer is A, fee simple. Fee simple ownership provides the most complete form of ownership, allowing the owner full control, including selling or transferring the property. It is the most common form of property ownership. In New Mexico, what is a key characteristic of joint tenancy? Is it A, tenants can sell their interest independently, B, right of survivorship, C, unequal ownership shares, or D, independent lease agreements? The answer is B, right of survivorship. Joint tenancy includes the right of survivorship, meaning that if one owner dies, their share automatically passes to the surviving owners, bypassing probate. What distinguishes tenancy in common from joint tenancy in New Mexico property law? Is it A, equal ownership shares are required, B, right of survivorship is included, C, owners can have unequal shares, or D, cannot transfer ownership independently? The answer is C, owners can have unequal shares. Tenancy in common allows co-owners to have unequal shares and no right of survivorship, enabling each owner to bequeath their share independently. Which type of property ownership is characterized by a tenant's right to use and occupy land for a specific period under a lease? Is it A, fee simple, B, joint tenancy, C, tenancy in common, or D, leasehold? The answer is D, leasehold. Leasehold estates grant tenants the right to use and occupy property for a specified term as defined in a lease agreement without ownership rights. In New Mexico, which form of property ownership allows co-owners to pass their share to heirs independently? Is it A, fee simple, B, leasehold, C, joint tenancy, or D, tenancy in common? The answer is D, tenancy in common. Tenancy in common allows co-owners to pass their share to heirs independently, as there is no right of survivorship involved. In New Mexico, which type of property ownership allows two or more individuals to own property together, with each having an equal right to use the property? Is it A, fee simple, B, joint tenancy, C, tenancy in common, or D, leasehold? The answer is B, joint tenancy. Joint tenancy in New Mexico allows co-owners equal rights to use the property. It includes the right of survivorship, meaning if one owner dies, their share automatically passes to the surviving owners. Public versus private land use controls. Which of the following is a primary purpose of zoning laws in New Mexico? Is it A, to increase property taxes, B, to regulate land use and development, C, to control the sale of properties, or D, to manage water rights? The answer is B, to regulate land use and development. Zoning laws are designed to regulate land use, ensuring orderly development and the separation of incompatible uses, such as residential and industrial areas. They help maintain community aesthetics and property values. What is a characteristic of a private land use control in New Mexico? Is it A, established by municipal ordinances, B, regulated by state zoning laws, C, created through restrictive covenants, or D, managed by federal regulations? The answer is C, created through restrictive covenants. Private land use controls, such as restrictive covenants, are agreements between property owners that dictate specific uses or restrictions on the property, enforceable by the parties involved. How does a variance differ from a zoning change in New Mexico? Is it A, a variance permits deviation without altering zoning laws, B, a variance permanently changes the zoning classification, C, a variance is a temporary zoning adjustment, or D, a variance requires federal approval? The answer is A, a variance permits deviation without altering zoning laws. A variance allows a property owner to deviate from the zoning ordinance without changing the zoning law itself, typically granted due to unique hardships faced by the property owner. Which New Mexico agency is primarily responsible for enforcing public land use controls? Is it A, Bureau of Land Management, B, New Mexico Department of Transportation, C, New Mexico Environment Department, or D, Local Planning and Zoning Departments? The answer is D, Local Planning and Zoning Departments. In New Mexico, local planning and zoning departments are primarily responsible for enforcing public land use controls, ensuring compliance with zoning laws and ordinances.
Stuck on a question? Just think of the Birdsy link in the description as your friendly neighborhood superhero, swooping in to save the day with answers. Feel free to explore it now and return to continue. Simply hit pause, and we'll be waiting when you get back.
Land use and zoning laws. What is the primary purpose of zoning laws in New Mexico? Is it A, to regulate land use and promote organized development, B, to increase property taxes, C, to enforce building codes, or D, to manage public utilities? The answer is A, to regulate land use and promote organized development. Zoning laws in New Mexico are designed to regulate land use in a way that promotes organized development and prevents conflicts between incompatible uses. They help maintain property values and community aesthetics. Which entity typically has the authority to grant zoning variances in New Mexico? Is it A, state government, B, local zoning board, C, federal government, or D, homeowner associations? The answer is B, local zoning board. In New Mexico, zoning variances are usually granted by a local zoning board or commission. These bodies have the authority to make exceptions to zoning regulations when certain conditions are met. What is a non-conforming use in the context of New Mexico zoning laws? Is it A, a new development that meets current zoning laws? B, a property use that violates building codes? C, a previously legal use that does not comply with current zoning? Or D, an illegal use of property? The answer is C, a previously legal use that does not comply with current zoning. A non-conforming use refers to a property use that was legally established according to the zoning laws at the time, but does not conform to current zoning regulations. Such uses are typically allowed to continue. How can a property owner in New Mexico legally change the zoning classification of their property? Is it A, apply for a rezoning request with the local government? B, petition the state government? C, submit a variance application? Or D, file a lawsuit against the municipality? The answer is A, apply for a rezoning request with the local government. To change the zoning classification, a property owner must apply for a rezoning request with the local government. This involves public hearings and approval by the zoning board or city council. Condominiums and HOAs. In New Mexico, what is the primary responsibility of a homeowners association in a condominium community? Is it A, collect property taxes from homeowners? B, manage individual homeowners insurance policies? C, maintain common areas and enforce community rules? Or D, provide utilities to individual units? The answer is C, maintain common areas and enforce community rules. In New Mexico, the primary responsibility of an HOA is to manage common areas and enforce community rules. This includes maintenance, repairs, and ensuring compliance with the community's governing documents. What is a common element in the context of New Mexico condominiums? Is it A, a privately owned patio? B, the building's lobby? C, a unit owner's garage? Or D, an individual unit's plumbing? The answer is B, the building's lobby. Common elements are parts of the condominium property that are shared and jointly owned by all unit owners, such as lobbies, pools, and parking areas. How does New Mexico law typically address the issue of special assessments in a condominium? Is it A, they are not permitted under any circumstances? B, they must be approved by the state government? C, they can only be used for routine maintenance? Or D, they are used for unexpected expenses or major projects? The answer is D, they are used for unexpected expenses or major projects. Special assessments are additional fees that may be levied by the HOA to cover unexpected expenses or major projects not covered by the regular budget. In a New Mexico condo association, who generally has the authority to amend the bylaws? Is it A, the unit owners through a voting process? B, the state government? C, the property management company? Or D, the original developer? The answer is A, the unit owners through a voting process. In New Mexico, the authority to amend condominium bylaws typically rests with the unit owners, often requiring a majority or supermajority vote. Environmental issues and water rights. Which type of water rights is most commonly recognized in New Mexico? Is it A, riparian rights? B, prior appropriation? C, littoral rights? Or D, correlative rights? The answer is B, prior appropriation. New Mexico recognizes prior appropriation water rights, meaning first in time, first in right. This system prioritizes water use based on the chronological order of claims. What is the primary purpose of the New Mexico Environmental Improvement Board? Is it A, granting building permits? B, managing state parks? C. Regulating real estate transactions. Or D. Establishing environmental regulations. The answer is D. Establishing environmental regulations. The New Mexico Environmental Improvement Board establishes regulations to protect the environment, focusing on air quality, water standards, and waste management to ensure sustainable land use. How does New Mexico address conflicts between land development and water rights? Is it A. Developers must prove water availability. B. Water rights are ignored for development. C. Development is prioritized over water rights. Or D. Conflicts are resolved by local governments. The answer is A. Developers must prove water availability. New Mexico requires developers to demonstrate an adequate water supply for new projects, ensuring that water rights are respected and sustainable use is maintained. What is a key environmental concern related to land use in New Mexico? Is it A. Flooding, B. Deforestation, C. Erosion, or D. Overpopulation? The answer is C. Erosion is a significant concern due to New Mexico's arid climate and extensive agricultural activities, which can lead to soil degradation and loss of arable land. Let's continue with New Mexico agency law and ethics. Agency relationship laws. In New Mexico, what is the primary duty of a real estate agent when representing a client in a transaction? Is it A. to maximize their own commission, B. to act in the best interest of their client, C. to ensure the transaction closes quickly, or D. to maintain a neutral stance? The answer is B. to act in the best interest of their client. The primary duty of a real estate agent in New Mexico is to act in the best interest of their client, which includes loyalty, confidentiality, and full disclosure of pertinent information. Which of the following best describes a dual agency relationship in New Mexico real estate? Is it A. an agent represents multiple buyers for the same property, B. an agent represents a buyer and a seller in separate transactions, C. an agent represents both the buyer and seller in the same transaction, or D. an agent provides advice to both parties without formal representation? The answer is C. An agent represents both the buyer and seller in the same transaction. Dual agency occurs when a single agent represents both the buyer and seller in a transaction, requiring full disclosure and consent from both parties to avoid conflicts of interest. What is required for a valid agency relationship to be established in New Mexico real estate transactions? Is it A. a written agreement between the agent and client, B. a verbal agreement witnessed by a third party, C. a handshake agreement symbolizing mutual trust, or D. an email confirmation from the client? The answer is A. a written agreement between the agent and client. A valid agency relationship requires a written agreement that outlines the terms and conditions, ensuring both parties understand their rights and obligations. In New Mexico, how must a real estate agent handle confidential information obtained from a client? Is it A. share it with other clients to facilitate transactions, B. use it to leverage better deals with other agents, C. destroy it once the transaction is complete, or D. protect it and disclose only with client consent? The answer is D. Protect it and disclose only with client consent. Confidential information must be protected and not disclosed without the client's consent unless legally required. This duty extends beyond the termination of the agency relationship.
Notice the code in the corner? When you're stumped by a question, enter it at birdsy.ai for immediate help. Enjoy complimentary study sessions and access to hundreds of additional questions to help you pass your exam with confidence.
Fiduciary duties and client representation. In New Mexico, what is the primary fiduciary duty owed by a real estate agent to their client? Is it A, B, disclosure, C, confidentiality, or D, reasonable care? The answer is A, loyalty. The duty of loyalty requires agents to act in the best interests of their clients, prioritizing their needs above all else. This is a fundamental aspect of fiduciary responsibilities in New Mexico agency law. Which of the following actions would breach the fiduciary duty of confidentiality in New Mexico? Is it A, discussing property features, B, sharing market analysis, C, revealing clients' financial status, or D, negotiating contract terms? The answer is C, revealing clients' financial status. Disclosing a client's financial situation without consent breaches confidentiality. This duty requires agents to protect client information unless authorized to share. Under New Mexico agency law, what is the consequence of an agent failing to disclose a material fact to their client? Is it A, increased commission, B, legal liability, C, enhanced reputation, or D, client loyalty? The answer is B, legal liability. Failing to disclose a material fact can lead to legal liabilities for the agent, as it breaches the duty of disclosure, potentially harming the client's decision-making process. What fiduciary duty requires New Mexico agents to act with competence and diligence on behalf of their clients? Is it A, confidentiality, B, loyalty, C, disclosure, or D, reasonable care and diligence? The answer is D, reasonable care and diligence. The duty of reasonable care and diligence obligates agents to perform their responsibilities with the necessary skill and attention, ensuring competent service delivery. New Mexico ethics guidelines and enforcement. What is the primary purpose of the New Mexico Real Estate Commission's Code of Ethics? Is it A, to ensure high standards of professional conduct, B, to increase real estate transaction fees, C, to regulate property prices, or D, to limit the number of real estate agents? The answer is A, to ensure high standards of professional conduct. The Code of Ethics aims to maintain high standards of professional conduct, ensuring that real estate professionals act with integrity and fairness. It protects consumers and enhances the reputation of the industry. Under New Mexico ethics guidelines, what action should a real estate agent take if they discover a conflict of interest? Is it A, ignore the conflict and proceed with the transaction, B, resolve the conflict privately, C, disclose the conflict to all parties involved, or D, withdraw from the transaction immediately? The answer is C, disclose the conflict to all parties involved. Agents must disclose conflicts of interest to all parties involved to maintain transparency and trust. This ensures that clients are fully informed about any potential biases. Which of the following is considered unethical under New Mexico's real estate guidelines? Is it A, providing accurate property descriptions, B, engaging in misleading advertising, C, disclosing known property defects, or D, offering fair market value appraisals? The answer is B, engaging in misleading advertising. Misleading advertising is unethical as it can deceive consumers and damage trust in the real estate profession. Ethical advertising must be truthful and not misrepresent facts. How does the New Mexico Real Estate Commission enforce ethical guidelines? Is it A, by issuing mandatory ethics courses, B, by increasing license renewal fees, C, by conducting annual ethics audits, or D, by imposing disciplinary actions? The answer is D, by imposing disciplinary actions. The Commission enforces guidelines through disciplinary actions, which can include fines, license suspension, or revocation, ensuring compliance and protecting public interest. Now let's review New Mexico property valuation. Basic principles of property valuation. What is the primary purpose of property valuation in New Mexico? Is it A, to determine building codes compliance, B, to establish fair market value, C, to assess environmental impact, or D, to negotiate property insurance rates? The answer is B, to establish fair market value. Property valuation in New Mexico aims to establish a fair market value for taxation, sales, and financing purposes. Accurate valuation ensures equitable tax assessments and informed real estate transactions. Which approach to property valuation is most commonly used for residential properties in New Mexico? Is it A, income approach, B, cost approach, C, sales comparison approach, or D, gross rent multiplier? The answer is C, sales comparison approach. The sales comparison approach is often used for residential properties as it relies on comparing similar properties in the area, reflecting market trends and buyer preferences. How does the principle of substitution affect property valuation in New Mexico? Is it A, it sets a limit on property value based on substitutes, B, it increases value through unique features, C, it decreases value due to depreciation, or D, it has no impact on property valuation? The answer is A, it sets a limit on property value based on substitutes. The principle of substitution suggests that a property's value is influenced by the cost of acquiring an equivalent substitute property, setting a cap on the maximum value. What role does the principle of highest and best use play in New Mexico property valuation? Is it A, it focuses on current use only, B, it limits valuation to residential purposes, C, it reduces value by considering zoning laws, or D, it identifies the most profitable legal use? The answer is D, it identifies the most profitable legal use. The highest and best use principle identifies the most profitable legal use of a property, guiding appraisers to determine its maximum potential value in the current market. Sales comparison, cost, and income approaches. In the sales comparison approach, what is the primary purpose of making adjustments to the sale prices of comparable properties? Is it A, to increase the market value of the subject property, B, to reflect differences between the comparables and the subject property, C, to decrease the market value of the comparables, or D, to standardize the sales data for tax purposes? The answer is B, to reflect differences between the comparables and the subject property. Adjustments in the sales comparison approach are made to account for differences in features, location, and other factors, ensuring that the comparable properties are more accurately aligned with the subject property. Which of the following is a key component in the cost approach to property valuation? Is it A, net operating income, B, sales price of comparable properties, C, capitalization rate, or D, depreciation? The answer is D, depreciation. The cost approach involves estimating the current cost to construct a replica of the property, subtracting depreciation, and adding land value to determine the property's value. In the income approach, which method is typically used to convert income into an estimate of value? Is it A, sales comparison, B, cost estimation, C, capitalization, or D, depreciation analysis? The answer is C, capitalization. The income approach often uses the capitalization method, which involves dividing the net operating income by the capitalization rate to estimate property value. What is the primary factor considered in the sales comparison approach when evaluating a property's value? Is it A, sale prices of similar properties, B, replacement cost of the property, C, income potential of the property, or D, land value only? The answer is A, sale prices of similar properties. The sales comparison approach primarily considers the sale prices of similar properties, adjusting for differences to estimate the subject property's value accurately. Let's test your understanding of New Mexico real estate financing. Mortgage loans and financing options. Which type of mortgage loan is most commonly used in New Mexico for first-time homebuyers seeking low down payment options? Is it A, conventional loan, B, U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, VA loan, C, Federal Housing Administration, FHA loan, or D, jumbo loan? The answer is C, Federal Housing Administration, FHA loan. FHA loans are popular among first-time homebuyers in New Mexico due to their lower down payment requirements and flexible credit qualifications, making homeownership more accessible. What is the primary purpose of the New Mexico Mortgage Finance Authority? Is it A, to provide affordable housing solutions, B, to regulate mortgage interest rates, C, to insure all mortgage loans in New Mexico, or D, to offer refinancing options for luxury homes? The answer is A, to provide affordable housing solutions. The New Mexico Mortgage Finance Authority aims to provide affordable housing solutions, offering various programs to assist low and moderate income residents in securing mortgage loans. What is a key feature of a USDA loan available in rural areas of New Mexico? Is it A, requires a 20% down payment, B, offers 100% financing, C, available only to veterans, or D, limited to urban areas? The answer is B, offers 100% financing. USDA loans offer 100% financing, meaning no down payment is required, making them ideal for eligible buyers in rural areas of New Mexico. Which of the following is a benefit of a VA loan for eligible New Mexico veterans? Is it A, requires private mortgage insurance, B, high closing costs, C, limited to first-time buyers, or D, no down payment required? The answer is D, no down payment required. VA loans offer no down payment and no private mortgage insurance, benefiting eligible veterans by reducing upfront and ongoing costs, facilitating easier homeownership. Loan applications and approval processes. In New Mexico, what is the primary purpose of a credit report in the loan application process? Is it A, to determine the loan amount eligibility, B, to verify the borrower's income, C, to evaluate the borrower's creditworthiness, or D, to finalize the interest rate? The answer is C, to evaluate the borrower's creditworthiness. A credit report provides lenders with a detailed history of a borrower's credit usage and payment behavior. It helps assess the borrower's creditworthiness and ability to repay the loan. Which document is essential for verifying a borrower's income during the loan application process in New Mexico? Is it A, credit report, B, bank statements, C, pay stubs, or D, tax return? The answer is C, pay stubs. Pay stubs are critical documents for verifying a borrower's income. They provide a detailed record of earnings and deductions, which lenders use to assess financial stability. In New Mexico, what is the purpose of the good faith estimate in the loan application process? Is it A, to estimate costs and fees, B, to verify employment, C, to assess property value, or D, to finalize interest rates? The answer is A, to estimate costs and fees. The good faith estimate provides borrowers with an estimate of the costs and fees associated with their mortgage. It helps borrowers compare different loan offers and make informed decisions. What is one of the primary roles of an underwriter in the New Mexico loan approval process? Is it A, to conduct home inspections, B, to set interest rates, C, to provide legal advice, or D, to assess loan risk? The answer is D, to assess loan risk. Underwriters assess the risk of lending to a borrower by reviewing financial documents, credit history, and the property's value, to ensure the loan meets the lender's criteria.
Don't forget to comment below with your tips, challenges, and thoughts on exam preparation. Your experiences can make a big difference for others.
New Mexico mortgage disclosure requirements. What is the primary purpose of the New Mexico mortgage disclosure requirements? Is it A, to increase state revenue through mortgage fees? B, to ensure borrowers are informed about the terms and costs of their mortgage? C, to protect lenders from legal liabilities? Or D, to streamline the mortgage application process? The answer is B, to ensure borrowers are informed about the terms and costs of their mortgage. The New Mexico mortgage disclosure requirements aim to provide transparency to borrowers by ensuring they receive all necessary information about the terms and costs associated with their mortgage. Which document must lenders provide to borrowers under New Mexico's mortgage disclosure regulations? Is it A, credit score report, B, title insurance policy, C, loan estimate, or D, appraisal report? The answer is C, loan estimate. Lenders are required to provide a loan estimate, which outlines the key terms and costs of a mortgage, ensuring borrowers understand the financial commitment they are entering. How soon must a lender provide the loan estimate after receiving a mortgage application in New Mexico? Is it A, within 3 business days, B, within 5 business days, C, within 1 week, or D, immediately upon application? The answer is A, within 3 business days. Lenders must provide the loan estimate within 3 business days of receiving a mortgage application, ensuring borrowers have timely information to make informed decisions. What must a lender disclose about interest rates under New Mexico's mortgage disclosure requirements? Is it A, the lender's profit margin, B, the average market interest rate, C, the historical fluctuation of interest rates, or D, whether the interest rate is fixed or variable? The answer is D, whether the interest rate is fixed or variable. Lenders must disclose whether the interest rate is fixed or variable, as this affects the borrower's future payments and financial planning. New Mexico-specific loan programs. What is the primary purpose of the New Mexico Mortgage Finance Authority? Is it A, to regulate real estate agents in New Mexico, B, to provide affordable housing opportunities, C, to manage state property taxes, or D, to oversee commercial real estate development? The answer is B, to provide affordable housing opportunities. The New Mexico Mortgage Finance Authority is dedicated to providing affordable housing opportunities through various loan programs, primarily targeting low to moderate income families in New Mexico. Which program is specifically designed to assist first-time homebuyers in New Mexico? Is it A, First Home Program, B, Home Equity Conversion Program, C, Veterans Housing Assistance Program, or D, Build New Mexico Initiative? The answer is A, First Home Program. The First Home Program is tailored for first-time homebuyers in New Mexico, offering low-interest mortgage loans and down payment assistance to make homeownership more accessible. What does the HERO program in New Mexico provide? Is it A, assistance for commercial property development, B, subsidies for renewable energy installations, C, grants for historic home restoration, or D, down payment assistance for public service workers? The answer is D, down payment assistance for public service workers. The HERO program offers down payment assistance and competitive mortgage rates to public service workers in New Mexico, including teachers, police, and healthcare workers, making homeownership more achievable. What is a key feature of the New Start program in New Mexico? Is it A, provides grants for home renovations, B, offers tax credits for new homeowners. C. Funds rental housing for low-income families. Or D. Supports first-time homebuyers with zero-interest loans. The answer is C. Funds rental housing for low-income families. The New Start program provides funding for the development of rental housing for extremely low-income households, aiming to address housing shortages for vulnerable populations in New Mexico. New Mexico Mortgage Finance Authority. What is the primary role of the New Mexico Mortgage Finance Authority? Is it A. to provide affordable housing opportunities, B. to regulate mortgage interest rates, C. to issue real estate licenses, or D. to enforce housing codes? The answer is A. to provide affordable housing opportunities. The New Mexico Mortgage Finance Authority primarily provides affordable housing opportunities for low and moderate income residents by offering financial products and resources. It is not a regulatory body, but a facilitator of housing finance. Which program is not offered by the New Mexico Mortgage Finance Authority? Is it A. first-time homebuyer loans, B. down payment assistance, C. energy efficiency grants, or D. commercial real estate loans? The answer is D. commercial real estate loans. MFA offers a variety of programs for housing affordability, such as first-time homebuyer loans and down payment assistance. They do not provide commercial real estate loans, which are typically handled by private lenders. How does the MFA support low-income renters in New Mexico? Is it A. by offering tax incentives, B. by reducing property taxes, C. by providing rental assistance programs, or D. by building luxury apartments? The answer is C. by providing rental assistance programs. MFA supports low-income renters by providing rental assistance programs. These initiatives aim to reduce the financial burden on renters, ensuring they can afford safe and stable housing. What is a key feature of the MFA's First Home program? Is it A. high-interest loans for all buyers, B. low-interest loans for first-time buyers, C. grants for commercial property purchase, or D. subsidies for luxury home purchases? The answer is B. low-interest loans for first-time buyers. The First Home program is designed to assist first-time homebuyers by offering low-interest mortgage loans. This program aims to make homeownership more accessible to those entering the market for the first time. Let's review New Mexico disclosure requirements and forms. New Mexico-specific disclosure requirements. What is the primary purpose of the New Mexico Property Disclosure Statement? Is it A. to inform buyers of known property defects, B. to establish the property's market value, C. to provide a detailed property history, or D. to guarantee the property's condition? The answer is A. to inform buyers of known property defects. The New Mexico Property Disclosure Statement is designed to inform prospective buyers about known defects or issues with a property, ensuring transparency and reducing the risk of disputes post-purchase. Which of the following is a requirement for New Mexico sellers regarding lead-based paint disclosure? Is it A. only for homes built after 1980, B. for homes built before 1978, C. for all residential properties, or D. only if requested by the buyer? The answer is B. for homes built before 1978. Sellers must provide a lead-based paint disclosure for homes built before 1978, informing buyers of potential lead hazards and ensuring compliance with federal regulations. How does the New Mexico broker duties disclosure benefit the client? Is it A. by detailing the property's defects, B. by guaranteeing a successful sale, C. by clarifying the broker's responsibilities, or D. by setting a fixed commission rate? The answer is C. by clarifying the broker's responsibilities. The broker duties disclosure outlines the responsibilities and obligations of the broker, ensuring clients understand the services provided and the broker's role in the transaction. What must be disclosed about water rights in New Mexico real estate transactions? Is it A, only if the property is agricultural? B, only if requested by the buyer? C, only if the property is residential? Or D, all existing water rights? The answer is D, all existing water rights. Sellers must disclose any existing water rights, as these can significantly impact property value and usage, particularly in areas where water resources are limited. Commonly used New Mexico forms. Which form is used in New Mexico to disclose the presence of lead-based paint in properties built before 1978? Is it A, seller's property disclosure? B, lead-based paint disclosure? C, environmental hazards disclosure? Or D, radon gas disclosure? The answer is B, lead-based paint disclosure. The lead-based paint disclosure form is required for properties built before 1978 to inform buyers of potential lead hazards, ensuring compliance with federal and state regulations. What is the purpose of the New Mexico seller's property disclosure form? Is it A, to inform buyers about property condition? B, to confirm buyer financing approval? C, to list property improvements? Or D, to evaluate property market value? The answer is A, to inform buyers about property condition. The seller's property disclosure form provides potential buyers with detailed information about the property's condition, helping them make informed decisions and comply with legal disclosure obligations. Which form is used to notify a buyer of their right to conduct a home inspection in New Mexico? Is it A, purchase agreement? B, seller's property disclosure? C, lead-based paint disclosure? Or D, inspection contingency addendum? The answer is D, inspection contingency addendum. The inspection contingency addendum outlines the buyer's right to conduct inspections, ensuring they can assess the property's condition and negotiate repairs or price adjustments if necessary. What is the New Mexico Real Estate Commission's requirement for disclosing agency relationships? Is it A, only verbal disclosure is required? B, disclosure is not required? C, written disclosure using a specific form? Or D, disclosure is at the agent's discretion? The answer is C, written disclosure using a specific form. Agency disclosure forms are mandatory to inform parties of the agent's role and duties, ensuring transparency and preventing conflicts of interest in real estate transactions. Specific procedures for transactions. What is the primary purpose of the New Mexico Property Disclosure Statement in real estate transactions? Is it A, to guarantee the property's condition? B, to disclose known defects or issues? C, to estimate the property's market value? Or D, to provide a warranty for the property? The answer is B, to disclose known defects or issues. The New Mexico Property Disclosure Statement is designed to inform potential buyers of known defects or issues with the property. This ensures transparency and helps buyers make informed decisions. Which party is responsible for completing the New Mexico lead-based paint disclosure form in a real estate transaction involving a property built before 1978? Is it A, the buyer? B, the real estate agent? C, the seller? Or D, the home inspector? The answer is C, the seller. The seller is responsible for completing the lead-based paint disclosure form for properties built before 1978, as they must disclose any known lead-based paint hazards to potential buyers. In New Mexico, when must a seller provide the property disclosure statement to a prospective buyer? Is it A, before the buyer makes a written offer? B, after the purchase agreement is signed? C, during the closing process? Or D, after the home inspection? The answer is A, before the buyer makes a written offer. The seller must provide the property disclosure statement before the buyer makes a written offer. This timing ensures the buyer has all necessary information to make an informed decision. What is the consequence if a seller in New Mexico fails to provide the required disclosure forms in a timely manner? Is it A, the transaction automatically voids? B, the buyer must proceed regardless? C, the seller faces criminal charges? Or D, the buyer may terminate the contract? The answer is D, the buyer may terminate the contract. If a seller fails to provide disclosures, the buyer may have grounds to terminate the contract or seek legal remedies. This emphasizes the importance of compliance with disclosure requirements.
Thanks for joining us today. If you found this video helpful, subscribe to our channel for more practice exams, tips, and tricks. And don't forget to visit Birdsy.ai for complimentary study sessions with Birdsy, your AI-powered study partner.